And next for you, a decision by the state Supreme Court today could have implications at the polls this spring.
Justices decided not to take up two voter ID cases on the same day a lower court trial in one of those cases begins. Political reporter Jessica Arp now with continuing coverage. Jess?
Well, the immediate upshot of the decision by the state's high court is that it won't bring resolution to the voter ID issue as soon as some had hoped, and likely not before any recall primary or election.
The evidence that is expected to be presented at trial will not identify a single eligible elector who is unable to obtain a state-issued ID card.
This law needlessly imposes an onerous and unreasonable burden on otherwise qualified voters from participating in elections.
The NAACP will continue to argue a case this week against the constitutionality of the state's voter ID law after the Supreme Court said it wouldn't step in.
It means that Judge Flanagan's trial, which started today, will be allowed to continue.
Attorneys in this and another case by the League of Women Voters say it shows that justices didn't feel an immediate need to take up the issue, although court documents don't indicate why the High Court refused the cases. What it does mean is the law continues to be blocked, likely through the recall elections.
I think the most likely thing is it means that the same standards of voter identification we've had in the past continue to apply for the recalls. So photo IDs probably will not be checked for either of the two recalls, the primary or the general.
An appeals court will now consider the issues on their own, and the Supreme Court could get a second chance at deciding whether their rulings are right or wrong. But chances are it won't be soon.
So I think the main thing is we're on hold with photo ID for the short term and have several steps left in the process before we ultimately know where the courts have finally come down on voter ID.
A spokeswoman for the Attorney General, who is representing the state in both cases, said they continue to believe that prompt action is needed in the appeals courts, and they'll continue to pursue this matter there.
Now, we understand the Court of Appeals does have one issue that could possibly put voter ID back in place, right?
Well, that's right. An appeals court has yet to rule on whether to stay or to lift the permanent blocking of the voter ID law while the appeals are in progress. As the Attorney General has requested, there is no timeline for when the court may rule on that issue.
All right, everybody stay tuned. Jess, thanks a lot.